Go. Welcome. Welcome to This Week in Our Collective Heads. I'm Patrick, and we're going to play one of my favorite wrestling games ever. There's a lot of debate, and I'll probably play the other ones as well, but there's a lot of debate on what the best wrestling game of all time is. This is one of my favorites. This is the first wrestling game that I got really into. I played Royal Rumble on the Super Nintendo and a few other games that, I mean, they were fun, but they didn't hook me. This game is WCW vs nWo Revenge. This game, the roster is huge. The amount of game modes are huge, but the best part about it is the engine that they used for the wrestling, for the movesets. The engine is perfect. It's easy. It's still something that every other game that I play I compare to because it's so well done. If you can get past the graphics in this is probably the best wrestling game of all time, except for maybe a couple on the PlayStation 2, but we'll talk about that at another time. Again, there I am. Cool. So we're going to play some of this because it's fun and it's awesome, and I'm just going to bring up my chat here just in case you guys want to talk. So, make sure everything looks good. I'm still rocking out that. So, we'll do an exhibition to start, and we'll kind of go from there. Anybody in the chat who wants to talk about wrestling or anything, have at it. I'm going to do, let's do an exhibition, single match, on Monday Nitro. Nitro was fantastic. This is back when the WWF and the WCW were competing for your household time on your TV, because they were both on Monday. You had Monday Night Raw and you had WCW. This was a huge battle between the two. Now, there were some great wrestlers in both of these. I will say that the roster for WCW was so much bigger. WWE, WWF at the time, had the Attitude Era, but they didn't have the concentration on really good wrestling like WCW did, and that's what we're going to kind of showcase here. So these are the different stables. As you can see, these are the different groups within WCW, because they were kind of splintered. Excuse me for a second. So WCW was the proper show, and you have WCW wrestlers here. And then EWF, this was basically the starter league. This was kind of offshot stuff. These guys were some really bad wrestlers in my opinion. You can argue with me about that. That's fine. DAW, I don't remember. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was the Japan Wrestling League. nWo White. They had to actually define it here because nWo splintered as well. nWo was a group within WCW that said, you guys, the organization didn't know what they were doing, and they were going to take over. So it was them taking over the show, taking over matches, and trying to get WCW to run the way that they wanted it to run. Full disclosure, obviously, I know wrestling is fake, but this is really cool. It was a really cool storyline. Offshoot from that, when Hollywood Hogan, because Hulk Hogan was trademarked by WWF, so when he went to WCW, he became Hollywood Hogan. And offshoot, because Hollywood was becoming so, just too big for his britches, and everything was about him, offshoot of nWo Red came about. That's the Wolfpack. The main group in here would have been Kevin Nash, Conan, Rey Mysterio was in here for a little bit too. Scott Hall should be on here too, but he's not. Scott Hall's over here, but that's fine because he's still wearing red. You notice that? It's because these two guys are one of the best tag teams ever. It's Kevin Nash here and Scott Hall. Anyways, I'm going to get done. I'm going to finish my spiel on this. We're going to play some of my favorite game. So, anyone who knows me well knows these are actually two of my favorite wrestlers, Goldberg and Diamond Dallas Page. I'll start off with Goldberg, and then we'll go from there. And for you guys in the know, you'll know why I'm picking this match. Goldberg versus Bret Hart. Oops. Goldberg, Bret Hart. Sure, okay. Why is it flipped? What the heck is this? Okay, I've got to figure out what the heck that is. So we're gonna go no countouts. I don't know why this is flipped. I don't remember that. Let me know in the comments if you remember it. I'm going no DQ. I'm doing that because I just want to have fun here. We're not gonna have TKO. We're not gonna have submission. You have to pin the other person. We're gonna do yes interference because that was one of the cool things about this game. Here we are. Goldberg. Goldberg, love him or hate him, became a phenomenon. Bill Goldberg was a wrestler for the Atlanta Falcons, a football player, American football, for the Atlanta Falcons. Actually injured himself. I believe he tore his abdominal. And like a lot of former NFL people, he decided, well, maybe I should go into wrestling. Wrestling is a very physical sport. It is entertainment. It is very physical, but your opponent, it is just as important for your opponent to take care of you as it is for them to put on a good show. They know you need longevity. You know that they need longevity. So there's a spear right out of nowhere. So basically, it's a gentleman's agreement. Brock Lesnar has a similar thing with WWE. He hurt himself while in MMA and decided, you know, if I go back to wrestling, I can go back and I can still earn a living. I can be entertaining. I can do some physical stuff, but no one will try to take advantage of my injury. So, grapple system in this game, you have a weak grapple and a strong grapple. There's a strong grapple here. You have certain favorite moves. The favorite moves will replay. You have regular hits. You have stronger hits. And they can reverse pretty much everything. I turned off rope breaks on this because this is a no disqualification match. I'm just trying to remember my controls. See, there it is again. So, try to reverse this, and I couldn't. Try to reverse this, could not reverse it. So, some of the stuff is timing-wise and also the abilities that your wrestler has. Goldberg was not known for reversing a bunch of things, but what he was known for was completely dominating matches. And his... I screwed it up. Come on. The spear. The spear was technically Goldberg's finishing move, but it got outshined by Goldberg's amazing ability to hold someone in the air. Hold someone literally in the air and jackhammer them. That was technically the pin. I'm actually going to let him kick out there. I'm doing that because I want to show you guys how the weapons work on this game. The offering mechanics and stuff are fantastic, so you can go look there. If your wrestler tends to use weapons, you'll be able to find them. I forgot, Goldberg actually doesn't. Goldberg was not necessarily a face. He became a fan favorite, but he wasn't necessarily... I forgot how to change people I'm looking at. Goldberg wasn't a fan favorite to start. In fact, he wasn't supposed to be a fan favorite at all. He was supposed to just come in there and wreck shop. How do I... Kid you not, I cannot remember how to change my target. If I grapple him, I will automatically change the target, but I can't remember how to do it. Yeah, Goldberg was one of my favorite wrestlers because I was a kid, and Goldberg couldn't lose, and that was really cool if you're a child watching watching wrestling or watching something like this. It was a really cool thing. It's like this, no one can beat him. No one could beat Goldberg. And finally, when he actually lost his streak, which was inflated, it was supposed to be over like 100 wins. He lost actually to Kevin Nash, and Kevin Nash and Scott Hall and the rest of nWo shocked him with cattle prods. That's how he ended up losing. But here we got, this was actually a very, it was a great matchup, and then Goldberg basically botched a kick to Bret Hart, screwing up his what was it? I'm mixing this up. He botched a kick to the face, and it gave him a concussion or something. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it basically caused the end of Bret Hart's career. Bret Hart was one of the biggest wrestlers I'd say of all time, honestly. He was huge. Bret Hart was, I wouldn't say as big as Hulk Hogan, but internationally he was just a megastar. Let me know in the comments if you guys watched wrestling, or if you're just here to see me play this. Let me know if there's a specific matchup you want to see, specific wrestler you want to see from this era of WCW. This, in my opinion, was the heyday of WCW, and it just happened to happen at the exact same time as what is basically the heyday of WWE. It was WWF at the time. So this is a lot longer than a lot of Goldberg matches would have gone on. If you guys remember, Goldberg would go in and just wreck, and it would be a 1.5-minute long match. And Goldberg would beat the crap out of them, spear them like I just did, and then came the jackhammer. I find it funny that the spear was supposed to be the finisher, because now it's what's his face's finisher now. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, this was. I think this game actually got me into watching. Actually, there's another game that got me into watching wrestling, but this game got me watching wrestling consistently. Cripple in there is talking about this being one of his favorite wrestlers, two of his favorite wrestlers, and he actually played this game before he realized these were real people. Some of the characters in this game are just completely crazy out there, so I wouldn't. It doesn't surprise me that you didn't believe it was a real people. I mean, Frankenstein is in this game. Sorry, I repeated that move. I apologize. I hate repeating wrestling moves. So we're gonna go ahead and jackhammer. Oh, screwed it up. I don't know why that was his pick. That was his special from behind. I think everyone's got a special from every single place except for Goldberg doesn't go up on the ropes. So here we go with the jackhammer. Just completely crush it. And then we'll go on to another match. Cripples, there's a specific person you want to see. I can't believe he kicked out of the jackhammer. Is there a specific wrestler you want me to see me play? Do you want me to see Diamond Dallas Page or Kevin Nash? Who is one of your favorites to play on this? I'll play them in a match for you while we talk about this. I'm trying to remember how to turn them around. There it is. Boom! German suplex. It was one of my favorites as a kid because it really looks like you're just going to smash the person right in the neck. You could break it. This is also before WWF instituted the gentleman's rule of no power bombs. I know that's not the WWE, or not WCW, which is WCW what we're talking about, but Hanzo Mon was your favorite. Cool, I'll bring it out. So this is before WWE basically said, "Hey, let's not have power bombs. Sorry, pile drivers. Pile drivers were so dangerous with possible concussions and possible neck breaks. There's so many people who actually broke their necks doing it that that's why you don't see it in wrestling very much nowadays. It's a gentleman's agreement that they won't do it to the other person for fear of ending their career." There's So Goldberg wins. No surprise. Bret Hart was a really great wrestler, though, and just amazing. The excellence of execution, but not this time. So I got a rank in there. Why not? Alright, so we're going to play Hanzo Man. Let's do exhibition. I honestly have not played that character in so long, so I'm going to go against... I don't know. Let's go against... yeah, let's go against Kevin Nash. Why not? So... Oh, I think I didn't change it to add submissions, but anyways. Hanzo Man was part of the Japan push, which a lot of... Japan is huge into wrestling. They have some amazing, amazing wrestlers there, really pushing the boundaries, still really pushing the boundaries of technical wrestling, where WWF, WWE is now just all entertainment. You have occasionally some wrestlers that are good. Kevin Nash is one of my favorites. I picked him because Nash was one of my favorites from back in the day. One of the first times I ever saw my earliest memory of watching wrestling was going over to a neighbor's house and they were saying, "Hey, Royal Rumble," or not Royal Rumble, King of the Ring is on tonight. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And I went over and watched King of the Ring, and this was... at the time, he was known as Diesel, and Diesel just, Diesel and Scott Hall, actually, sorry, it was Diesel and what's his name? Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is a tag team, and it was just fantastic. That was, for a long time, I misremembered that, which I think a lot of people, if you really dig in your memory, you realize that we misremember a lot of things. I misremember that. Ah, screw that up. I misremembered that as the same year that Stone Cold won King of the Ring, which was huge. But it was not Stone Cold. But it was one of my earliest memories seeing Kevin Nash, seeing the Heartbreak Kid. It was fantastic, and I'm actually glad you could actually watch those on WWE now, if you're so inclined. So Hanzo is a big striker, high flyer. So I'm gonna see. I don't remember. I can't do it. Oh yeah, you could do a running grapple on this. I was trying to remember if we could do a running grapple. So if I do this again, he's probably gonna knee me. Oh, he didn't. I knew he'd kick out, but it was just fun. Just really cool stuff, though. One of the things I loved about this game, though, was the amount of modes. And I'm actually going to do the Royal Rumble in a bit. The Royal Rumble, I would play with my friend Ryan. We would play for literally maybe 5 or 6 hours straight. We would play this game, and we would play the Royal Rumble. And it would basically be us against the computer, and however, 30 men, so it's basically 2 on 28, and then once it got to the actual end, we have a legitimate match between the two of us, completely exhausted. But it was great. We would play it over and over and over again. And then when the WWF version came out, it was fantastic too. Another example of an amazing move, one of those amazing drivers out of a suplex to a pin, beautiful technical wrestling there for Hanzo Man. I think that part of the reason he didn't catch on as much as he could in America was partially because WCW was pushing the American wrestlers, but they also Hanzo was really good in the cruiserweight division because they had a lighter weight division. They knew you've got these heavyweights and you have these lightweight guys, so you need to separate them. And Hanzo Man wasn't a complete jobber, but he ended up doing a lot of that. He did that for Rey Mysterio a few times as well. So let's see. Let's do special matches. We can do a Battle Royal, which is basically the Royal Rumble. So let's do it at let's do it at Starrcade. You can do 40 wrestlers. It's crazy. So we're gonna do 16, so it doesn't go on too long. We're in random order, and I am going to be one of my favorite wrestlers, who I still find to be really inspirational, Diamond Dallas Page. So let's randomize some of these other ones. We already talked about Kevin Nash. Let's bring in Lex Luger. We can talk about him. Macho Man Randy Savage, and who else? Chris Benoit. So we can talk about them while we do this. Submission, TKO, no disqualifications. It's not a quick match. We're just going for it. So, Diamond Dallas Page was one of my favorite wrestlers because he was just an average guy. He was just an average rocker kind of guy. Dyed blonde hair, so this dirty blonde haircut, and he was average height. I think he's like 6 feet tall, so he's a little tall. But compared to a lot of other guys, he's about average. He wasn't huge and muscular, but he was charismatic. So charismatic that he actually ended up marrying one of the Nitro girls. I can't remember if they were married before or how exactly that happened, but that became part of the storyline. This is Lex Luger. This is towards the end of his career. Lex got really caught up in painkillers and some other things, but Lex was amazing wrestler, really strong guy. Not as charismatic as some of them right here, Macho Man Randy Savage. Great, over-the-top charismatic wrestler. I would say, in my opinion, he was head and shoulders better than Hulk Hogan. Ridiculous, but that was his persona. Great wrestler, a great showman, really knew how to work the crowd. And on the other end of this, probably one of the best technical wrestlers of the time, Chris Benoit. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the tragedy of Chris Benoit. Chris struggled with a lot of demons, a lot of drug abuse, psychological problems, which didn't go treated the way they should have been, and unfortunately ended up in the death of ended up in him actually killing his family and eventually himself. As much as I hate to talk about that. Yeah, it really is, isn't it? Yeah, it's kind of weird in retrospect because he was supposed to be this just amazing, executioner of I cannot figure out how to change people. He was supposed to be just an amazing technical wrestler, which he was. But yeah, it was pretty creepy music. Cripple, let me know. Do you remember how to change who you're looking at? Because I can't remember how to do it. I thought it was one of the C buttons, but I think I've hit all of them. Let me get away from the crowd a little bit. See if I can. So I'm gonna try. It's not. Oh, there it is. Right. Okay, cool. Yeah, Benoit was just an amazing technical wrestler, and he never got the huge push that I think he deserved. Ended up going to WWE for a little bit. Yeah, it's C right. I was thinking C down is to run, C up is to exit the ring, and also if you want to go get weapons. Actually ended up bloodying him. That was cool. So this is. This is the Battle Royale, which WWF calls the Royal Rumble. Same rules apply. Kick someone out of the ring, and you win. Which can take quite a while. In real life, they have really, in my opinion, I like seeing the ones that are just really quick. Like you do not expect them to just be kicked out just like that, just that quickly. So Conan coming in here. Conan was tag team partners with Rey Mysterio. I thought he was a decent wrestler, but I just loved Rey Mysterio so much more that he was just always like, okay, that was the other guy. It wasn't Rey, but it was the other guy. Oh, there we go. Yeah, Diamond Dallas Page wasn't that technical of a wrestler, but he was just a great showman. Oh, man, reverse that suplex. That's one thing I liked about this game, too. The reversals, they looked so smooth. Every move could be reversed, and the reverse of the move always looked like a legitimate reversal. Lodi, who I called Loki when I was little, because I was a Marvel nerd back before it was cool. I also got him really confused with Scott Steiner. I don't remember Lodi. Cripple, do you remember Lodi in the in wrestling? Because I don't really remember him. These games are also kind of cool because they're kind of a time capsule of that era, whichever era you're watching, whichever era of wrestling the game is modeled after. They're really a time capsule of what was important back then. In wrestling, they push specific wrestlers. He moved. That's the other thing you can play. You can play possum and like that. They're a really cool time capsule. So we can go through different incarnations of the game, like the different SmackDown games, or even the different Raw games that were on before that. And you can really see the difference between them. Yeah, I don't remember. I really don't remember that guy. I remember a lot of these people, obviously, but I do not remember him. Snap suplex right there. This is also one of the ways I got into wrestling when I was younger, because the creator wrestler, you can go through all the different names of the moves. So every single move, as you're watching, WCW Nitro, when you're watching it on Monday, you know them. The announcer's obviously announcing what happened and everything, but I got eliminated. The announcer's announcing different moves. You could learn those moves. I learned those moves through these games, other than like pile driver and power bomb and stuff like that. So I lost this. I'm actually going to quit because it's kind of boring. I can keep talking about them, but that was a really cool loss though, because it was one of those things that I just got sideswiped by the other guy, and there's no way out of it. So let's do So the U.S. heavyweight. Can I not do cruiserweight? Oh, okay. So I forgot. So when you go through, I love you too. Sorry, the dog's coming in to say hi. So each different belt, if you want to go for them, you get to unlock specific characters, and I can't remember who they are. Who is that? It's not Jericho. I'm gonna go for the world heavyweight because I don't know who that is. Go with Kevin Nash. So we're going to have Kevin Nash go and try to become the heavyweight champion of the world. I also like Kevin Nash because he is nowhere near what I was when I was little. I knew he was nowhere near what I was going to be, but I was a nerd and he was Nash was smooth and confident and a ladies' man. I mean, they called him Big Sexy. A 7-foot tall, you know, just amazing stud of a guy, and the girls loved him and Scott Hall, because if you didn't like Kevin Nash, you had the dirty bad boy of Scott Hall to go after. I obviously didn't like either one of those for that reason, but the girls really liked them, obviously. Anyways. Boom! That got a little weird, didn't it? But yeah, I actually had a thing for Kimberly, who's Dallas Page's wife, and I wasn't around for the Miss Elizabeth era. I know she was big back then. I just did not watch back then, but Terry Runnels back at WWF, she was hot. Oh! So, two great wrestlers. Bret Hart was just an amazing technical wrestler. I know I said that before. Out of Canada, just kind of like a whole family of amazing wrestlers with this guy. His brother Owen passed away way too young. I know people say that, but he was finally getting kind of a push again in the WWF. He ended up taking retaking one of his old characters that never worked out. He called the Blue Blazer, and there was a big question: was it Owen? Who was it that was this Blue Blazer? And it was Owen. And unfortunately, we really found that out when Owen fell and hit the ring post, and he was basically doing this. He was doing the Sting. I didn't want to win this in the count. Sorry. He was doing the Sting, going down from the rafters, coming down on a wire, and the wire was not right for his weight, or for a weight of the person, and it snapped. Cool. So a Giant comes out to help. I don't know why Giant would help. Well, at this time, I don't know why Giant would have done that. I think that's just kind of a random kind of thing. They just kind of picked a random person to help. Sorry, I didn't duplicate the move again. I like the moves to be unique. I like to be changed up, just like if you're watching it in real life. Giant was another one that I thought was really cool. As cliche as it is, just these huge wrestlers just have huge personalities, and seeing someone who is literally a head taller than anybody else in WCW is pretty amazing to watch. And I still actually find my favorite match that he was in was actually against Diamond Dallas Page. Diamond Dallas Page pulled a Diamond Cutter. He reversed the choke slam into a Diamond Cutter because Diamond Dallas Page did that before Randy Orton did that, and the RKO coming out of nowhere. That was a Diamond Dallas Page's thing. That's Diamond Dallas Page's finishing move, and that's Diamond Dallas Page's signature, is for that thing to come out of nowhere. You never know when it's going to happen, and when it happens, it's over. And it really irritates me that basically Randy Orton decided, I'm going to emulate all of that. That just bothered me. So we're going to go ahead and do Jackknife Powerbomb. We did one outside already. And then pin him. I forgot how to pin. How do I pin? There he goes. I'm so used to playing Goldberg. I can't remember how to pin. Oops. I've drank from the wrong cup. That's not tasty. So let's see, who are we going to play next? So the other thing, I guess the other reason I like this game is you just really dominate your opponent if you know how to time everything, if you know what you're doing. So Hollywood Hogan. We all know about Hollywood. We know about Hulk Hogan. Some of you guys might not know about Hollywood. Hulk Hogan was an amazing showman. He sucked as a wrestler. And Hulk, if you're watching this, sorry Hulkster, you were adequate as a wrestler, but it was the personality. It was the personality that had everyone talking. eat your vitamins, say your prayers, all that. That personality is what drove him to stardom. And in what I'd consider Hulk's heyday with WWF was around the time of Andre the Giant. There was a falling out between him and WWF, so he went to WCW. Jeff Jarrett and Jeff Jarrett's father were actually putting together, if you didn't know. Hulk basically said, you know what, I'm not liking what I'm doing. I'm just not having fun anymore. And I can come in there and make you and legitimize what you guys are doing in was it Jacksonville, Florida, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember where they were located. But basically said, hey, I can legitimize what you're doing. I can get you viewers, because who isn't going to watch Hulk Hogan? He came in, they call him Hogan, became Hollywood Hogan, and I don't know whose idea it was to do the Nitro or the nWo, the New World Order. It's just a great idea, though. Kevin Nash is also famous for fighting Hollywood. Nash was the heavyweight champion. He was slated to fight Hogan. It was supposed to be a great match. And then Nash literally laid down and let Hogan pin him. Which resulted in, not the first time, but resulted in the entire crowd throwing trash into the ring, which became a normal thing for them to do in WCW. But which, as much as I don't like, them doing that to performers, there's something kind of cool about seeing that crowd interaction. That they care that much. They care that much that they're throwing their trash. They're finding anything and everything to throw into the ring. And then it became a normal thing. People would bring stuff to throw into the ring. Just because of, they saw people doing it on TV. That's why the signs happened. At first, people started bringing those. If you guys didn't know the history of, I'm going to go real deep into the history of wrestling. The signs were legitimate when they first started televising wrestling matches. We're talking late 60s and everything. When they were televised, people wanted to show their support and say hi to people. And the wrestling, they basically caught on. Vince McMahon's family was the first to do this. They caught on to the fact that people were bringing signs, and it made the crowd look like they were so into it that they would hand out signs. If you went to a taping of WWF, if you went to a taping of Raw back in that day, they would hand you signs. You can make your own, obviously, but they would sit there and hand you signs to make it look like the crowd was even more into it than they were. Not that the crowd wasn't into it. It just looks really cool for TV. And you've got, say, 20,000 people watching in the arena, but if you can get the million people that are watching at home to believe that it's that the people are that into it, you get more viewers, you get more people wanting to go to these huge events live. And that's how Vince McMahon, one of the reasons Vince McMahon's company did so well. They realized, as Vince said, we're not in the wrestling business, we're in the entertainment business. We make movies, is what Vince was famous for. He was quoted as saying, because what they did was make stories. They made people interested in everything that was going on, and they told a story. South Park lampooned it famously with their episode about wrestling, basically saying that it was redneck soap opera, and you know what? Yeah, it kind of is. but it can be so well when it's right. It is so right. I also encourage you guys. I encourage you if you haven't seen. There's a YouTube video by a guy named Max Landis, who's a famous writer, a famous Hollywood writer. He has a famous, he has a great YouTube video called "Wrestling Isn't Wrestling," and it's talking about wrestling and the Attitude Era and a lot of other things. Follows Triple H, and goes into a lot of the psychology and behind the scenes. And there's also some. It's kind of a fun, spot the famous B-list or C-list celebrity kind of game, because he's got so many people in his video that you may or may not recognize. Perry Saturn, famous for his finisher, the Rings of Saturn. Saturn was a decent technical wrestler. I think he was kind of caught in between. He wasn't a great high flyer or cruiserweight or technical guy. He was good, but he wasn't as charismatic as some of the other guys. So you're kind of caught in the middle, which I think is what happened with Chris Benoit. Well, Chris Benoit just had all the technicality and didn't have enough attitude. There are a lot of guys who they're not. It's not the winning combination, because to be a famous wrestler, you have to. It's not enough to be big and muscular. It's not enough to be a great wrestler. You have to have the right attitude, the right right persona. Perfect example of that, and some people probably hate me for saying this, but David Otunga. David Otunga was in the WWF, technically still in the WWE. He was commentator, and he's actually married to Jennifer Hudson. I'm going to go ahead and pin. Apparently not. Married to Jennifer Hudson. Can I do it? Oh man, I wanted to do it. Okay, I have to jackknife powerbomb him for this reason. Okay, I'll tell you in a second. So David Otunga is a big guy, great muscular features, which is what a lot Vince looks for a lot in wrestlers. But his personality isn't that great. His mic skills aren't that great. Not like The Rock. The Rock rocks the mic. He didn't do that at first, but he came up with a persona that did. So what's his name? Oh yeah, David Otunga. So that's why I think Otunga didn't do as well as he could have done. He was in some tag teams. Yeah, he was a champion. Whatever. He's not bad. He's a good guy, but he's not that winning combination. Once a decade maybe, you see someone come along like that, and Vince tries to push that that next person, and sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes it does. If you guys watched wrestling recently, I'd say one of those people was Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson, if you watched him even further back in the day. Daniel Bryan was an amazing wrestler and got hurt, but part of the storyline that they were doing, showing that Vince basically saying, no, you're not going to be the big deal. Sorry, I have to jackknife powerbomb him because there's a famous storyline where that happened. I'll tell you. Sorry, I'll go and do it again in a minute. So Daniel Bryan, part of the storyline where they were saying you're not big enough, you're not A-list material, you're not what we want to be the champion. It's not best for business if you were the champion. Part of that is true. Part of that is straight out of things that he was told, even by the WWE, and it just kills me that that his career basically ended because of his injury. And I mean, he made it though. He did become champion. But I really hope he rests. He gets enough rest that he can come in there, even if it's even if it's not a huge match. I'd love to see him wrestling again. Charismatic, great mic skills, and a great wrestler. The only problem was he's not a big guy. He's not big and muscular. He's not He-Man. He's not a giant like, you know, Andre the Giant or someone of that fame. So, sorry. Again, I hate repeating moves. I didn't mean to repeat that. Yeah. So, let's talk about the Giant a little bit since we're talking about big people. So the Giant was Paul White, great guy. Got into wrestling because of his size, because he's huge, because he's so tall. People just kept saying, "Why aren't you in wrestling?" Famously, when he got to WWE, he was there for a short amount of time and kept hurting people accidentally. And Vince actually sent him to what amounts to a minor league, a feeder league that was also owned by Vince McMahon. Sent him there to learn how to wrestle. The guy had been wrestling for, I don't know, 10 years at this time? Oh, shoot, rope break. He'd maybe been wrestling for like 10 years. And Vince says, no, we're sending you back. You're going to learn the basics again. You need to learn the craft. Which a lot of people don't respect enough. I mentioned at the beginning of this video, it's just as important when you're in a wrestling match. It's just as important for all the moves to look good and everything. It's also just as important for the person who's receiving the moves to be taken care of. They don't want to hurt each other. There are famous times when they break that rule, break kayfabe, and legitimately try to hurt each other. But for the most part, you're there to take care of your opponent. This is not, this is like a movie, right? So you're watching two stuntmen go at it. They both need to go home. Neither one of them want to go to the hospital. They both have lives. They both have families, and just as important as that, they both need to continue to work. And if you get injured, you can't work. If you can't work, you don't get paid. That's how it was back in the day. Obviously, some of the higher up guys have contracts that means that they're going to get paid no matter what. But an injury means you can't wrestle, and if you can't wrestle, if you're in a smaller league, that means that if you can't wrestle, you can't pay the bills because you can't wrestle the next night or 2 nights from then because you're hurting. So you have to wait for a couple weeks or maybe a month to wrestle, and doing that, it's not beneficial to anybody. So that's why they take care of the other person in the ring so well. Again, Chris Benoit, so we talked about him a little while ago. Cripple was talking about the music being really ominous now. I really liked Chris back in the day. I was a Chris Benoit fan because out of his the cruiserweights, it was him and it was Rey Mysterio. Those were the two just best wrestlers in that cruiserweights. Yeah, Dean Malenko, all these guys. Yeah, whatever. Benoit was the Canadian crippler. I mean, this guy was a great technical wrestler. He also did a great diving headbutt, which obviously he did not make famous. Jimmy the Superfly Snuka is famous for that. But Benoit would just leap from ridiculous heights and do this amazing headbutt that looked great from every angle. And I would watch that and go, how is he not hurting himself? Because even when I was younger, I knew it was fake. I didn't know it was fake the first time that I saw it. But when I got into watching wrestling, I already knew it was fake at that time. I saw it a few times and didn't realize at that time, but I knew it was fake when I got into it. But I had respect for him as like the same reason I had respect for like Jeff Hardy. He would leap from a cage or from a ladder, and I was like, how is he not hurting himself? How is he not dead? you know, as cliche as that sounds, the announcers kind of like to throw up that hyperbole, but it's like, how are you able to do that? How are you able to jump from the top rope to outside the ring doing a flying headbutt and then get up and you're not wheeled off in an ambulance? I'm sure he was some nights, but yeah, some of it is they're putting their bodies on the line for entertainment, and Benoit did that a lot, and that's one of the reasons why, as well as the psychological issues that he had, that's one of the reasons that that he got so into painkillers. I mean, his body hurt from taking all the bumps that he took. And it's really sad that it came to that. It's sad he didn't get the help that he needed. It's sad that, you know, that people didn't realize he was hurting as bad as he was. There's only so much you can do, but it's tragedy. Huge tragedy. Anyways, but he did have one of the coolest wrestling moves. So cool, in fact, that yours truly used it as a wrestling move when I did wrestling on trampolines. And don't laugh, because that's how the Hardys started. That's how Jeff and Matt Hardy learned how to wrestle, was on trampolines. Because you can't, you know, it's very forgiving. You're not usually going to hurt yourself on a trampoline. Like you would in a backyard, which I've done as well. But yeah, I liked Chris Benoit so much that I used the Crippler Crossface as my finishing move, partially because you know, I wasn't strong enough to do some of the other moves, but I'm not a big guy, but two of the people that I wrestled with a lot were smaller than me in weight, maybe about my height, but I was strong enough to lift them. So I would do we did tombstone pile drivers and kind of stuff, but they were small enough, and they were in gymnastics even further than I was. I was in gymnastics for a while, but one of the guys could do a backflip, and so he would do a standing backflip into a pin. That was his finisher. So Brian, if you're watching this, it was awesome. It's one of those things. It's a lot of trust, but it's very forgiving to do a power bomb onto a trampoline because no one gets hurt. When you do a moonsault onto someone and accidentally knee him in the face, it happens. But we practiced so much that that we rarely got hurt. The only time that anyone ever got hurt was a backbreaker. That I couldn't hold the person up, or their weight up enough, because a backbreaker, you actually cradle their weight, and you come down on your knee, holding their weight. When you hit your knee on the ground, you're holding them up still, and then you let them down onto your knee, almost simultaneously, so that they don't actually get really hurt. And I couldn't handle his weight as well as I could handle the other people's weight. He didn't get hurt, but you know, it hurt him. Funny enough, that was right before we went to a live taping of WWF back in the Attitude Era. So Macho Man here. It's kind of sad to me that I only got to see a couple of his matches live. I've seen a lot of them since, but I only got to see a handful of them live. He wasn't wrestling as much when I got into wrestling. When I got to watching a lot, he wrestled a couple matches that I watched, but his promos were some of the best promos ever. Him talking on the mic was just magical, and yeah, it's just something amazing about him. So Cripple, you're in the comments. If you're still watching, who was your favorite wrestler to watch? Was there any like specific big moment that really floored you back in the day? I've been talking a lot, obviously, watching me play, but let me know if there's a big if there's a wrestler that you just loved back in the day. My favorite wrestler of all time is Mick Foley. I know I've talked about a lot of wrestlers here. Mick was absolutely one of my favorite wrestlers. And glad I got to see him live. Great guy, really nice guy. So, let me know who your favorite wrestlers are. Go ahead and comment. Okay, so it's 2 jackknife power bombs. You better stay down. Really? Is this on like hard difficulty? I know we're going for a belt here, but come on. I don't want to win via submission again. That was just a fluke last time while I was talking. You can tell I have not played this game in a long time. I picked it up the other day and just fell in love with it again. So that's why I'm a little comfortable in the movesets. I haven't played Nash in like 20 years though. What, 17 years? Also, Cripple, are you a bassist? I see this Cripple to bassist quest. Yeah, make him bleed. No, that's cool. Yeah, it's kind of weird. He is a really. You're exactly right. Cripple just said in the comments, he's a cuddly, nice guy who puts on such creepy hardcore matches. He is, yeah, Foley. It's really strange if you ever see an interview with him. He's one of the sweetest guys. Just a loving family man, big teddy bear, obsessed with Christmas. I love you, Foley. Absolutely love you. He just loves Christmas. Loves Santa Claus and all of that. Boom, right there. Yeah, I actually play, you say you're working on becoming a bassist. I actually play guitar, bass, piano, drums, mandolin, xylophone, whatever else. I don't play woodwinds, so I don't play everything, but yeah, I play a lot. I'm not a great bassist. I actually got a Fender Jazz bass over here. Right over here. I'll bring that out. Hold on. Since we're talking about musical instruments, this is, oops, wrong button. This is my my Fender Jazz bass. Come back a little bit. It's pretty cool. It's a little thick on the neck right here. Sorry, the color's kind of weird because of the green screen. This thing has amazing tone though. Absolutely love it. I've had a few basses. That's my favorite, not for, oh, thank you. Yeah, it's not my favorite for playability. I'd consider it like a session kind of, it's something that's definitely made for someone to sit in a studio and play. It's heavy. It's not, my bassist, I've actually got a band, and my bassist plays a Hofner bass, and that thing is really light. It's got some pretty good tone, but the most important thing is it's just so light, and then the neck is not too thick, so it doesn't cramp your hands too much. So Booker T was really cool too. He's another example of a guy who just had amazing mic skills, as well as to one of the coolest taunts ever, the spin-a-rooney. It's fantastic. Let me see if I can steal his finisher. I'm trying to remember how to do that here. I think you strong grapple and then you it's A and B together if I'm not mistaken. Booker T was great. So how long have you been playing bass? I've been playing guitar for 22 years, 23 years. Mostly acoustic. I learned how to play electric guitar and bass, and then drums. And I really gravitated towards drums. So I actually play drums in my band. It's just it's fun, it's easy to me. There's a lot of room for improv. If you forget a part, you can kind of fake it easier than playing completely wrong notes on a guitar. It comes off wrong. Oh man, cool reversal there. So I tried to do an Irish whip and didn't do it. Oh no, I didn't. I thought you were quoting. My apologies. Yeah, sorry, I was on the other screen. I thought you were quoting Princess Bride for a second. You're fine. Look, I thought you said you're a fine fellow, but yeah, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, one of my favorite things about bass is just the rhythm. That low end of being able to just really center, like just lock down and come into a groove. Is really cool. Especially, I don't know if you've played with any drummers so far, but playing with a good drummer is a great experience for a bass player. Locking in that rhythm section is just really cool. You seem like a decent fellow. I hate to die. Yeah, that was the quote I was thinking of. As soon as I was reading it, I was like, is he trying to quote Princess Bride? But yeah, I don't mind playing instruments by myself, but playing with a band is really cool. Especially, like I said, if you're a bassist, you can find a decent drummer. Even better if you can befriend one, so you guys can just jam around. Someone who's they don't have to be equal to skill as you, but as long as they're in the same mindset as you, to let you practice what you learn, what you're trying to play, or if they're cool with jamming out on a specific song or a specific group of songs. Skill level doesn't have to match, as long as you guys are in the same mindset. I got one of my guitarists who's just amazing, and the other has been playing for a couple of years, and he's a good guitarist as well, but he's not as good as the other guitarist, because my buddy Travis, the one that's really great, he's been probably one of the best. He's probably one of the best guitarists I've ever seen play in my life, and befriended him in high school, so I just keep dragging him along with me. You've been singing bass. Oh wow. Yeah, obviously, as you can tell by my my voice, I am not in the lower registers. I will sing Journey. It does not bother me. I've got the range. I got the high range. I don't have the low range. So good on you for being able to sing bass. That's amazing. I always wanted to be able to sing low, like the guy from Crash Test Dummies. Great band. I just absolutely loved his voice. Absolutely loved his voice. I was actually listening to them earlier today. I kid you not. It's in my car. What are you doing? My dog is licking the bass. Alright, I tried to end this match earlier. It didn't happen, so... Oh. Really? Oh. I'm gonna reverse it. Boom. Glad I reversed that one. Whew, it's gonna be rough. So, as you saw there, Kevin Nash's sign. Same time, WWF's Attitude Era was doing the whole DX 2 words thing. And there's the Kevin Nash basically doing the exact same thing. This whole era was about attitude. It was about anti-establishment. And I don't know why. Why it gravitated to that. But it worked so well. So I think this will be it. I'm wondering how many more people I have to go through before I get my friggin' championship shot. I mean, come on. I want my belt. Cool thing about this, though, is Cribble, as you know, whoever gets the championship stays the champion on your saved game. So it's really cool. Every time you boot it up, you can have the same champion, and we didn't have a storyline in this. Is the thing that was missing in this game. There were a couple games. SmackDown Bring On the Pain is one of them that brought a great storyline and career kind of mode to it, and didn't have it here. So we were kind of forced to imagine our own, kind of imagine what the storyline was. Who we got? Scott Hall. Oh man. So Scott Hall, or Razor Ramon as he was known back in the WWF days. So Scott Hall against Kevin Nash. Two great friends, which yes, they had their fights in there back in the day. Man, I wish he had a shorter taunt. I gotta remember to do the low taunt. I'm so used to doing the high taunt. And bam! Alright, we'll do a longer taunt now that he's out here. He's probably gonna pull me out. Is he gonna pull me out? Can you pull me out? Yeah, I knew he would. That's fine. I'm still gonna beat you. See if I can hit him right against it. There we go. Doesn't count. It doesn't count. I'm outside. It doesn't count as an illegal weapon because I'm just trying to doing my thing. Yeah. So Scott Hall's character was a dirtbag. Is really what his character was. I heard he was a decent guy outside of that, but he also has had a lot of problems. He's also had a lot of problems with drugs as well. A lot of these guys did. A lot of these guys got hooked on painkillers, and some of them took it different ways. Jake the Snake Roberts, for instance, got really messed up on painkillers, and Scott Hall did as well. He tried to clean up quite a few times, and just didn't quite. I personally think that's one reason why he didn't have the longevity that some others had. Like Nash was able to adapt, little by little. He didn't have the greatest career in WWF, but continued to work. And Scott didn't have that. I think part of that was the struggles that he was dealing with. Some of it may have been attitude. I don't 100% know, because obviously I wasn't there. Let's try to steal his finisher. If I remember how to do this correctly. There it is. Steal the finisher by doing a strong grapple and then hitting A and B at the same time. Razor's Edge right there. I'm gonna do it one more time. One more time because I am a horrible person. His tag team partner stealing his own finisher. So, boom. It was a great, basically, heightened power bomb. Bringing them up onto, even higher. Kind of like the last ride is like it's a power bomb plus. In this case, it's a power bomb and then some. In this case, he creates a kind of a cross. It lowers the surface area so they land on their shoulders and neck, just like the jackknife powerbomb that Kevin Nash does. It creates that lower surface area, so it's not spread out like a regular powerbomb would be. The entire back. The entire back is getting that pressure, and in this case, you're getting it only just on your shoulders and neck. Welcome in the chat if you just joined, playing one of my favorite wrestling games. Let me know if there's a specific wrestler you want to see on here. We're doing a career mode right now with Kevin Nash. After that, I'll play, if you want me to play a specific wrestler, kind of talk about them. Hopefully I know enough about them and can kind of extrapolate about their history. I feel bad I didn't know enough about Hanzo Man earlier when we were playing him. And there we go. Yeah, I agree. It's looking at some finishers like the Tombstone Pile Driver. It's actually a relatively safe move if it's done by someone strong enough. But Crippler Cross, what's it called? Not the Crippler Cross face. What's wrong with me? Razor's Edge. The Razor's Edge, his finisher. It surprisingly has not hurt more people. I'm sure there may have been stories we didn't know about, but who was the other? There's another guy that's keeps hurting people. He was in TNA. I forgot the guy's name. He had or has a finisher that it's kind of hard to describe, but he has actually broken like 2 necks in 1 year at one point with the finisher. And at what point do you say it's enough? Is it the first one, the second one? Pretty sure he actually has changed he's changed it up a little bit now. What was it called? I can picture it. He was the small blonde guy who was in TNA. And I say small, I mean he's bigger than me, but test the strength. Anytime you have you both do a strong grapple at the same time, you end up doing a little test of strength like this. Right there. Ended up winning that one. So Buff Bagwell. Buff was a cool guy. When I started watching wrestling, he was paired up with Scott Steiner a lot. And great personality. Had some really cool moves that he would do. He did a really cool bulldog. He did a bulldog off the what's it called? Off the turnbuckle. Really cool seeing something like that. Sidewalk slam. Cool, might have time for both, maybe? Yeah, I am. Unfortunately, he's right in the corner. I'm probably not going to be able to pin him. Yeah, wasn't able to pin him. That's okay. We'll get him next time. Let's do a backbreaker. Yeah, that's the move that hurt my friend doing, but it hurt too bad. We still got to go out to actually watch wrestling back then. I don't watch wrestling as much nowadays. I will tune in every now and then to see how they're doing. I will watch an episode of Raw once a month or so, just kind of see how they're doing. I'm just not been. There's a couple of people that I really liked, like Xavier Woods. But there's a lot that they're just not doing it for me. So here we go. Jackknife powerbomb. That may be the end of it. We'll see. If not, I'll steal his finisher. Really? That's his finisher? That wasn't his finisher. Okay. Was it turnbuckle? I think it was like a turnbuckle. Seriously, he's gotten 2 jackknife powerbombs and a huge sidewalk slam. You're not Mick Foley. Just die already. Right there. So, actually, my first time watching it live was actually watching wrestling live was a house show for WWF, and it was right after they pre-taped Mick Foley winning for the Super Bowl halftime show, 97, 98. Might get that wrong. You guys tell me in the comments. Yeah, Super Bowl halftime show. They'd pre-taped it, so it was a week and a half before the Super Bowl. But because they'd pre-taped it, the wrestlers were continuing to, as if Mick Foley was the new champion, even though the rest of the world didn't know there was a new champion. This was before the internet was huge, so I guess they felt, well, we can get away with this. No one's gonna say anything. No one did, not that I know of. Oh, this is horrible. Yeah, no one really said anything that I remember, but this is really crappy finishing moves. Anyways, so we got to the stadium, and they had a couple matches. This is a house show; it's untelevised. So, looking back at it, I don't know why they told us that he was now the champion, because they could have just not. They could have just not told us that he was the champion, and no one would know the wiser. So we got there. There were a couple of matches. We had Edge and Christian were one of the tag teams we watched there, and then the announcer said, just to fill you in, we just finished pre-taping the Super Bowl match, and what's the Super Bowl match? No, I'm trying to remember which. I think it was the Super Bowl match. Well, hold on. Mick lost the Super Bowl match, didn't he? Anyways, it was a pre-taped match where Mick Foley won, and they announced and said, okay, just to let you know, Mick Foley's actually the champion right now, even though no one knew that he was the champion. Everyone in the audience was like freaking out that it was Mick Foley was actually the champion. His music came out, Mick came to the ring, and I just lost it. I saw Mick Foley and The Rock wrestle in front of me, and Mick Foley was the champion, and Mick Foley won. It was just so weird to me. In retrospect, it's weird to me that I knew that they told us. Why would they tell us? I mean, why would you tell a group of people before the internet, before anyone knew that you pre-taped it? Why would you tell them you pre-taped it and here's your new champion? Just pretend the other guy's champion. They can pretend. That's what they do for a living. They pretend. They're wrestlers. They pretend to wrestle each other. Pretend to not be champion. I just had to yell. Whoever it was, you guys didn't like my rant. Sorry, it happens. Okay, I'm hoping that I'm about to hit the actual champion. Here we go. Finally, for the World Heavyweight Championship. Took forever, but here we are. Is that Christian? Who's that? Oh, Roddy Piper. I couldn't tell because he didn't have his I'm glad you're enjoying the stories, man. I don't know. We had someone come in for a little bit and then leave, but so Roddy Piper was another great. No, you're fine, man. I'll just keep talking. It doesn't matter if people are talking in the chat or if they're not. I'll just keep talking. So Roddy Piper was a great wrestler back. Another wrestler that I would say he was not the most talented wrestler, but his persona, his attitude. This guy ranted like I mean, I guess that's why I look up to him. I will rant like crazy. This guy would lay into someone verbally and just I just freaking look up to him so much in that sense. no holds barred when it came to his matches and when it came to his attitude. He'd have the Piper's Corner, and would have someone on there to talk about a specific match. And more than half the time, he would end up beating the crap out of whoever it was. They would have what seemed to be a normal conversation. They would talk about specific events. WWF actually brought this back recently, a couple years ago, and had him come on there and do the Crippler's Corner again, or the Piper's. What was it? Piper Pit, whatever it was. Was it Piper Pit? Piper's Corner. They would have him go on there, and they had him come back and do that throughout the years. And what I loved was when he would bring up the video showing what happened. They would talk about it, obviously all within kayfabe, so they weren't. It's not like nowadays where you'll see interviews with Mick Foley, completely sanctioned by the WWF. You'll see an interview with Mick Foley, and he will talk about behind the scenes, the politics behind the scenes of this stuff. And you'd never have that back in the day. You'd never break kayfabe because, and personally, I think it's because Vince didn't think that people could handle both. That would confuse people. We're smart enough now. I don't know if it would confuse them then, but we're smart enough now not only to understand it is fake, but to understand when the show, when the curtain has closed, and now we're talking about whatever. We're talking about something candidly. We're smart enough as a society to realize what's going on. I saw a really cool thing with Paul Heyman recently on that. Like I said, I haven't watched in a long time, but I don't watch regularly, but I watch. And he was talking about The Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. So Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker's WrestleMania streak. WrestleMania 32. Brock Lesnar beat The Undertaker. It was a huge deal. To me, it was a huge deal because you have Brock Lesnar, who came in from the MMA, and he came in specifically because he was hurt. If you heard me earlier talking about this, a lot of people came in because they're hurt. They come into the wrestling because they respect each other and don't hurt each other. And in MMA, if you know someone's hurt, you're just going to milk it. You're going to milk whatever it is, whatever's wrong with them, you're going to milk. So, anyways, Brock Lesnar came into the WWE with by the way, I stole his finisher on purpose. Brock Lesnar came in with a 2-year contract. 2-year contract. 2-year contract, and they gave him the belt. Now, from a standpoint from management, from politics, why would you do that if this person's already left? They only came back because they were hurt. Why would you give him the belt? Why would you end? Not give him the belt. Why would you end the streak? One of the biggest things ever to happen in wrestling. Why would you end it? And there are a lot of things behind the scenes. And actually, I'll put in my initials real quick. One of the things that Paul Heyman said was there are only a few people who know what happened that night completely, who know everything that happened and why it happened. One of them is Brock Lesnar. One of them is Vince McMahon. And one of them is The Undertaker. The referees didn't know all about it. Cool, I'm glad I'm not only champion, but the high score. So he was saying, yeah, the Vince knew, and Paul Heyman knew, and Brock knew. But if Brock Lesnar decided, you know what, I'm going to go out there, and I'm just going to knock out The Undertaker. Physically knock out The Undertaker, and just pin him, and see what happens. If he had done that, no offense against The Undertaker wouldn't have been able to stop it. This is the story that Paul Heyman was talking about, and he was saying if Brock really wanted to do that because he's an MMA fighter, he could have done that. He could have just started wailing on him, knocked him out, done his F5, pinned him, and then they would have to say, "Here, it's you." Well, what happens when you do that? Do they fire him? They can't, because if they fired him, he's the guy who broke the streak. How do you fire that guy? So he was purposely kind of milking the story, saying, one way or another, it could have happened, and I don't think that was what happened at all. That's the conspiracy theory, and I think Paul Heyman is a great storyteller, and I think that's what he was trying to do. He was trying to tell a story, and in this case, he really fed into the conspiracy theories. I think that, personally, I think that Vince, that the Undertaker knew he was going to end the streak. It was going to end at one point. I wish it was Sting that was the person to end it, but Vince does not like to show that anyone is better than the people he picks. When WCW was bought out by WWF, he still pushed his people. He didn't push the guys that were former WCW. So I think the Brock Lesnar thing was Vince trying to pick Brock Lesnar to be a big deal, and it didn't work out. Brock's gone back to the MMA, it sounds like. So, I mean, he's a showman, but I'm sorry, he's just not. His heart isn't in this business. He's there. He's there to make money. So I'll be right back. I got to take a quick break, and then we'll continue. Speaking of breaking kayfabe, you can really see where that green screen ends at that point. So, Sting, as you saw there, Sting was almost like the other half for the Undertaker from the WCW side. I'm gonna switch over and play some WWF if you guys don't mind. Let's see. Yes, I'm using an emulator. You can hate me for that. I'm not gonna really get mad at you. Where is my? Boop. All right. Okay, man. No problem. Thanks for hanging out and talking. Let's talk some WWF. Boot this sucker up. So we're talking WCW earlier. I played WCW, nWo a lot. That's what taught me a lot about wrestling. Taught me a lot about the technique. Taught me a lot about the storyline. But when I was watching, I hope that was just one glitch. So when I watched back in the day, it was the Attitude Era that really hooked me then. And when WWF finally came out with a really, really good game, I just loved it because I played WWF Raw's War. I played that on the PlayStation, but when this game came out, I rented it, I don't know, probably 5 or 6 times. Finally, my parents bought it for me. This is back when you could rent video games, kids. You'd go down to a Blockbuster and rent a video game. So, Lord of Darkness, we had Kane just over there earlier. Oh, hold on. I'm gonna see if there's another ROM that will do this better, because that should not be doing that. See if No Mercy's better. I think No Mercy plays better, so let's load that one up. Yeah, just a bit. As much as I like WrestleMania 2000, I'm actually using ROMs here because it's easier. I own the games. Don't get on me about this. It is so much easier to stream emulation for this kind of stuff than to hook up every single system. Jeez, hold on. I'm gonna close out of just completely close out of that. The recent systems, the PlayStation 4 and all of that, they do a great job of integrating streaming for you to play games, and I love it, absolutely love it. But for classic games, I think that it's just a lot easier to stream these. So let's bring up No Mercy. Considerably easier to stream off of a. It's gonna do it. Really? There we go. Considerably easier to do it by via emulation. So like I said, you can get on to me about not being. It's not pure whatever. It's easier. The USB, the emulation looks decent enough, and the USB controllers are fantastic nowadays. So here we go with WWF No Mercy. This one I didn't own. I rented it a few times. I actually played the WrestleMania one more. This one people say is better. So let's see if it is. Let's see who I've got. So we did let's do King of the Ring. Why not? So King of the Ring, 16. Can we do more? Can we do more than 16? King of the Ring, single man. Okay, it goes up to 16. Cool. So we're gonna do King of the Ring at Survivor Series. 30-minute time limit. Countouts are 10 because we're gonna do WWF rules. We have disqualification, we have interference, we have bloodshed. This is the Attitude Era, the end of the Attitude Era, so we'll have blood. Should be good stuff. Rules, arena, number of people, single, 16, survivor, decision. So, who do we have? We got The Rock, we got Triple H. See, 16 wrestlers, that's it. 16 wrestlers. We got Kane, we got The Undertaker. This is The Undertaker when you try to do the whole biker thing. Chris Jericho, fantastic wrestler. Back when Benoit was back on here. Kurt Angle had a decent stint on the in here. Rikishi was fantastic as well. So we'll talk about some of these guys as we go through. Let's see, who am I gonna pick? Eddie Guerrero, jeez, miss him. Bradshaw, that's JBL, ladies and gentlemen. back when he was one of the acolytes with Farouk. I got X-Pac, man, this is a great era. Like I said, this is an encapsulation of a time period in wrestling. Who am I gonna pick, man? Oh my God, we got a Big Boss Man. You got some classics here. And we got Lita, man. We got Tori, we got Trish. Trish was great. So who am I gonna pick? Well, I love Mankind, but I'm picking Stone Cold Steve Austin. So I don't. So we're gonna do random. We're just hitting random people. X-Pac. Who's next? Matt Hardy. Big Boss Man. T-Von Dudley. The Godfather. Hardcore Holly. Steven Richards. Rikishi. Scotty 2 Hottie. Kane. Just kind of hitting randoms here. Let's go for some big guns. Triple H and The Rock. The Undertaker. Trying to pick and Jericho. Okay. So, like I mentioned, Dick Dog. Oh, what happened? Oh. Man, CPU, decision. Okay, so everyone else is going to be a computer. I'm going to be Steve Austin because I don't want to get to the point where I'm having to fight myself because that would be weird. So let's do this. As you guys probably noticed, this is the same engine as the previous game we were playing. THQ did this game for WWF, and same engine. This is the Nintendo 64, so obviously they don't have video capabilities. But anyways, so Steve Austin, you know, a lot of people know about. I'll talk more about him later. Farouk, Farouk was part of the Nation of Domination. And ended up getting paired with John Bradshaw Layfield, as they just called him Bradshaw, with the Acolytes Protection Agency. The Acolytes Protection Agency, they would come in, they were a tag team, and they would come in and they would help you. They would give you protection, as their name implied, and all you had to do was give them some beer. And if you gave them some beer, then they would protect you. That was their thing, which this whole era was all about the just not being part of that system, being part of sticking it to the man. So them just drinking beer and being the good old boys was a big deal back then. So yeah, so they would be seen basically backstage just playing cards and drinking beer, and people would come back and be like, "Oh, you gotta help me, you gotta help me," and if they gave them beer or whatever, would they party with them, then the Acolytes would protect them. Farouk was really cool, and also later on got famous for a little catchphrase, "Damn." So that was cool. So boom, there we go. So Stone Cold was so his name was actually just Steve Austin, and when he first started wrestling, they said you need to change your name because Steve Austin is the $1 Million Man. And people are going to confuse you for the $1 Million Man. They're going to think that you're trying to pretend to be the $1 Million Man, and you're not. So he was stunning Steve Richards or some crap. Bam, there we go. So Steve Austin, really the turning point in his career was King of the Ring, which is why I picked him for this. Steve Austin dominated King of the Ring. the year that I'm talking about at least. He won, but he completely dominated, and then he just drove into everybody saying, I'm going to kick everybody's ass. I'm going to dominate this entire system. I'm going to take every single one of you down, and I'm going to drink beer and enjoy it while I do it. And that was when he famously came up with his catchphrase, which the Austin 316 bit. And the reason that actually came out was one of the guys that he was fighting against kept talking about, kept Bible thumping. That was the guy's character. I can't remember his name now. He was such a kind of a footnote nowadays. But he was Bible thumping, talk about like God says this and Ezekiel this and this. And Austin came out there and he said, I'm tired of this. You say Austin 3:16 says this. Well, or sorry, John 3:16 says this, and he said, well, you know what? Austin 3:16 said, I just kicked your ass, and that just resonated with so many people. I'm getting handed to me right now, by the way, as I'm trying to talk. I may actually lose this match. I can't believe it. I was doing so well. Oh, man. He's just kicking ass. 1, 2, 3. I literally just freaking lost as I'm talking about Steve Austin. So apparently Stunning Steve's not my guy. Okay. So used to these other movesets. AI is a lot better in this, so we're just gonna quit because I didn't win. So exit. And I don't care who won because this is just me playing. I got a commissioner. Ooh, what is this? Commissioner. SmackDown Mall. Okay, so you can edit superstars. Oh, create stables. That's really cool. Clone a superstar. So if you want to actually start off your superstar with as a clone of another one, you can tweak. That's cool. Shop. Oh, okay. I remember this. So let's do championship. Why not? My thing was the hardcore belt. So let me go back. Let me just make sure.
Options.
Difficulty. Okay. Let's go back. Championship. I loved the hardcore belt. I'd love to do this as Mick, but I don't know if I'll do very well, but I'll try it out. So, Mick Foley was a hardcore legend. That's an understatement. Mick Foley was the man. Why do we have disqualification? This is the hardcore championship. Story will progress whether you win or lose. However, the story will change accordingly. Cool. Which is how it should be. As much as I like as much as I like Goldberg, it's boring story-wise to just keep winning. So I have a ridiculous amount of drinks right now. So, Mick Foley. Mama Foley's little baby, little boy. This was my favorite wrestler. At first he was my favorite because he's crazy. He's nuts. I mean, you're watching a guy do anything and everything to win. He's putting his body on the line, literally like almost dying in matches. It wasn't every match, but jeez, watching him just leap, get thrown off of top of a cell. Foley would. Sorry, excuse me, my burp. So we talked about Matt Hardy and some of these other guys before, but let's talk about Mick Foley for a little bit. Mick wasn't a high flyer. Mick wasn't a strong man. Mick doesn't have a great physique. He jokes about that. Love you, Mick. You know what I'm talking about. Mick, you know, for all intents and purposes, he's just a cuddly guy who happens to have a high threshold for pain, and he decided that was going to be his thing. He saw Jimmy Superfly Snuka go off the top of the cage, and there we go, Mr. Sacco, the mandible claw. Saw him go off the top of the cage and headbutt and just essentially just completely risk his life to entertain a crowd. And Mick saw that when he was younger and realized that's what I want to do. And he did it. Mick became one of the top wrestlers on the planet for a brief moment in time of a few years. I mean, he had a decent career, but it was a few years of it was him and The Rock. He and The Rock and Stone Cold were the biggest things on the planet. Stone Cold was actually losing some traction. He's also not able to wrestle as much because he hurt his back. So basically, it was The Rock and Mankind, Triple H. These were your big guys back then. So he started as a character named Cactus Jack. Cactus Jack was a crazy son of a bitch, and that was his character. He would use barbed wire bats. There's a submission with a mandible claw. We'll talk about the mandible claw in a bit too. Cactus Jack would come in with barbed wire wrapped baseball bats. He would pour thumbtacks on the ring, and his wife hated it. I know she did. So when he decided to do the Mankind character, first it was just kind of an extension of that character, but it was more tame. He wasn't the outright psychotic. He was it was almost like the Norman Bates kind of quiet, sad individual. You would see him just losing his mind. And oh, cool. So, Mankind, I think you deserve the Hardcore Championship. But I want to see how well you wrestle in that match tonight. Then I'll give you a chance. Good luck. That's my Vince McMahon impression. Hold on one second. Let me check on my dogs real quick.
It's cooking. It's cooking. It's cooking. It's cooking. Know your role. It's cooking. It's cooking.
All right, so back to talking about Mankind. So Mick was very Saturn. Like I said, this is after WWF bought WCW, and that was a huge deal back then. Which I guess I can talk about since we're talking about Perry Saturn. We'll talk about Mankind as we continue, and Mick Foley. So I remember I would watch WWF, and I would videotape WCW. This is back in those days. And I would videotape that on the other room. I would watch WWF every Monday. This was my freshman year in high school, and a buddy of mine called me, who's my friend Ryan that I mentioned earlier in the video. He called me because he watched more WCW than I did. His favorite wrestlers were all in WCW. He understood WWF, but it wasn't his favorite. And he called me up and said, "You need to be watching WCW." I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." And he's like, "No, Shane McMahon is on here." And I'm like, "What?" So Vince McMahon owns WWF. Why would his son be on WCW the entire time? I'm thinking, okay, well, oh, he's splintering off from WWF. He's trying to do his own thing. So I thought it'd be fitting Mankind would have done something like that, and probably would have fallen. And I thought, okay, well, it's a stunt. I mean, he's not actually. Shane McMahon is on there because he's trying to get back at his dad, or whatever. He said no. WCW's just been bought out, and I, as a kid who was into wrestling, it was just amazing to me. I was thinking, this means all the dream matches. This is the what now amounts to people talking about now people talk about Superman fighting Captain America, or Batman fighting Captain America, or whatever, however you want to pair it up. That's how it was for me. I was a comic book nerd as well, but I was like, you mean I can see The Rock fight Kevin Nash? I'm gonna see Rey Mysterio fight against some of these people, and I did, and I got to see that. Some of these people you didn't really get to see, some of you did. There's a Brain Buster. It's another movie they won't let you do anymore. Gentleman's agreement against that. But see if they'll submit here. I was just floored, thinking I'm gonna get to see everyone that I love fighting everyone else that I love. There's no longer the separation. I mean, to me, it was like this world of Star Trek and Star Wars combining. You don't have to debate anymore if the Enterprise or Imperial Star Destroyer would actually win in a battle. You don't have to debate it anymore. You'll be able to see it. And as much as I love Star Wars, we all know the Enterprise would win, especially if we're talking about Picard handling it. But Grand Admiral Thrawn is doing the Star Destroyer. We may have a good fight on our hands. Anyways, so when that happened, I lost it. I was like, there's no way that this is happening. It did. They became one entity, and then Vince McMahon came in and basically made all of the WCW guys, except for a few, jobbers. And a jobber means that you just go in there and you lose. And your whole job is to go in and lose a match. And that's all they did, is they went in and they lost matches over and over and over again. So that's what happened. And let's see, can I get? I'm trying to remember how to get weapons. Is it in here? Is it in the crowd? Is it here? Huh. Can't remember how to get them. But yeah, as a kid, I was like, this is amazing. And then you had Perry Saturn come in and just lose to everyone. And Goldberg finally came in, and he didn't do very well either. Goldberg's the guy who had the biggest streak ever in wrestling. Yeah, part of it's fake, but that was the whole point. That's his character. Goldberg's character is he's unbeatable. You would do whatever, you'd do your finisher and he'd kick out of it. There's the famous thing. Goldberg's first match was against what's the guy's name? He's a big guy. I mean, big guy because he's a big, kind of tubby guy. Oh, what was his name? He would do a moonsault, and he's a big guy, and he would do a moonsault off the top turnbuckle and pin you. No one kicked out of that. People don't kick out of finishers. That's the reason it's a finisher. You're not supposed to kick out of a finisher. And he kicked out of it. Yeah, There comes Sacco. He kicked out of it. And everyone lost it. No one could believe it. No one could believe that was actually happening. And it happened.
1, 2, 3.
No one could believe that either. Mick could never pull that move off. Love you, Mick. So, just a minute, Mick Foley. Basically, when he tried WCW, well, he was famous in Japan for ridiculous matches, and ended up in WCW, then WWF, and when he got to WWF, he tried a very different character as Mankind. He tried Dude Love as well. Dude Love was just all cool and basically a jobber. Anyways, so Hardcore Holly's saying, I'm going to teach you a lesson. It's too early to challenge me. Well, does that mean I get to fight him? Hold on. I didn't see the... I forgot that I didn't look at the rules. Man, I hope if I win this... So, Hardcore Holly was a pretty cool guy, too. Oh, sorry, Crash Holly. Holy crap. I'm going to be wrong on this. Hold on, I gotta pause this. I don't want to be wrong on this. I gotta let the dog out anyway, so give me just 1 second. Okay, so it looks like I was right, and I hate being right about this. So, Crash Holly actually passed away in 2003, which I didn't realize how young he was. Crash was 32 years old. Right? Yeah. He was born in 71 and died in 2003. 32 years old. Died of prescription drugs and alcohol mix overdose is what it sounds, what they ruled it as. Not as a suicide, but just an overdose. Right after he was served divorce papers. It was really sad. Really sad end to a wrestler. So Crash was a really fun guy when it came to his wrestling persona. He's just a little guy. Just a little guy with a lot of heart. And Crash Holly, and I had to double check this because I knew it was a ridiculous amount. Crash held the Hardcore Championship 22 times. He's 32 years old and held the championship 22 times. Now, why is that? Well, it's because the rules for the Hardcore Championship was you had to be in a match anytime, anywhere. If there was a referee, that was the match. You had to defend your title 24/7. You were defending your title. This thing changed hands constantly, and Crash had it over and over. Him and Al Snow went back and forth, and back and forth, and back. Him and Hardcore Holly back and forth, and back and forth, and Mick Foley in there as well. The Hardcore Championship, which is what we're actually fighting for right now, It was one of my favorites because I loved the no holds barred aspect of the match, the chairs, and tables. Seeing these guys completely, just put it all out there was amazing, and obviously ultra violent, and took a lot of toll on these people. So, but anyways. It actually started as a joke. It was an old belt. Obviously, this is all part of the story. Yes, I know it's fake. Wrestling's fake. Blah blah blah. So, in the story, in the wrestling story, it started as there we go. It started as a joke for Vince McMahon to give Nick something, because Mankind would not stop bothering Vince McMahon. So finally, Vince McMahon gave a belt to Mankind, and that belt was the Hardcore Championship. It was an old WWF belt. It was an old WWF belt held together with duct tape, and Nick loved it. It was exactly what he wanted. Nick was the hardcore legend, and he got to be the hardcore champion. So the other thing was, well, if you had to defend your title 24/7, you had people coming at you all the time in your hotel room, backstage. The title would change hands multiple times during a single night. Because, yes, again, it's part of the story, but the person, you'd never know. How do you prepare for a match when it's going to happen? It's going to happen in the kitchen, backstage, and you don't know it's going to happen. You're just trying to eat some stuff from the craft services. They got sandwiches, and they're feeding you, and then someone comes in there with a referee and beats the crap out of you and then pins you. And that's legal. That's how it worked. So, there we go. I think that's the way I'm going to do it from now on, so that way they're right in the center of the ring. So, Nick was my favorite wrestler, and the hardcore stuff was one of my favorite things to watch. Watching someone just put themselves on the line like that is pretty amazing. So I'm gonna end the stream for now, but let me know if there's specific wrestlers that you really like watching. If there's specific wrestlers you want me to show on here, and which wrestling game you like the best. I've been playing a lot of N64 games. I can boot up some PlayStation stuff if you think that's better. Kind of explore that a little bit. Anyways, we'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.